You know, we've all heard it a million times. Reading is good for you. But what does that really mean? Today, we're going to dig into the science to tackle a huge question. Does picking up a book actually make you smarter? Let's get right into it. But hang on. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of intelligence, let's start with an even bigger idea. Does what we read, the stories, the facts, the ideas, truly shape who we become as people? It's a pretty deep thought, and honestly, it's the key to understanding everything else we're about to cover.
All right, first up, let's peek inside our own heads. What is actually going on in our brains when we're lost in a good book? Well, it turns out it's a lot more active and way more complex than you might think.
Okay, so get this. Researcher Marianne Wolf points out something fascinating. Reading isn't a natural ability we're born with, like speaking. It's a skill we have to learn. And as we learn it, our brains literally change. We build new neural pathways, we strengthen connections. Every single book you read is physically rewiring your brain.
And this process is anything but passive. It's a full-on brain workout. Think about it. When you read, you're firing up your language centers, you're accessing your memory systems, and you're sparking your imagination networks to visualize what's happening. It's one of the most complete mental exercises you can possibly do.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This effect compounds over time. Cognitive scientist Keith Stanovich calls this the Matthew effect. Put simply, the more you read, the better you get at it, which makes it even easier to learn more. It's this powerful cycle where good readers just keep accelerating, while those who don't read can fall further and further behind. Over a lifetime, that can create a huge gap. So with all this brain building going on, we finally arrive at the main event, the central question. Does all this reading actually make you smarter? Does it translate into a higher IQ score? Okay, this is where we need to separate myth from reality. The myth is that reading a book is like some magic pill that instantly bumps up your IQ. The reality? It's actually much cooler. Reading doesn't give you a quick temporary boost. Instead, it helps you build something called crystallized intelligence. Think of it as this deep, ever-growing well of knowledge, facts, and skills that you build up over your entire life. Daniel T. Willingham summed it up perfectly. Reading builds knowledge, and that knowledge is what supports your intelligence. See, reading gives you the raw materials, the facts, the concepts, the stories that your brain needs to reason and solve problems. You can't think critically about something you know nothing about. Reading is basically stocking your mental pantry. And the science on this? It's overwhelming. Study after study shows this incredibly strong link between how often a person reads and key markers of intelligence, like how big their vocabulary is and their general knowledge. And this isn't just about trivia. A bigger vocabulary lets you think with more nuance, and having a broad base of knowledge helps you spot connections that other people might just miss. The link is direct, and it's powerful. But you know, being smart isn't just about facts and figures. What about how we understand other people? Let's look at one of the most amazing and maybe surprising benefits of reading. Its deep connection to empathy. Now, this is a total game changer of an idea from psychologist Keith Oatley. He says that fiction is a kind of simulation of social experience. When you're reading a story, you're not just watching from the sidelines. You're actually stepping into a character's mind, feeling what they feel, and navigating their world. It's like a flight simulator for your social life. And that simulation has very real effects. Research from people like Raymond A. Marr and Emanuele Castagno has found that people who read literary fiction actually tend to score higher on empathy tests. They get better at what's called theory of mind, which is basically the ability to understand that other people have their own beliefs, feelings, and goals that are totally separate from your own. So what you choose to read actively shapes the way you think. Reading fiction seems to train your brain for empathy and for seeing the world from different points of view. Nonfiction, on the other hand, is incredible for building up structured knowledge and sharpening your analytical skills. Neither one is better. They just train different cognitive muscles. So let's bring this all together. We've looked at the neuroscience, the intelligence research, the psychology of empathy. What's the final verdict here? The answer is a huge, resounding yes. Reading doesn't just influence you, it actively shapes you. It builds what you know, it refines how you think, it deepens how you feel, and it fundamentally changes how you understand other people. So in the end, reading isn't just a hobby. It's a powerful tool for developing yourself. Think of it like a toolkit. You pull out fiction to train your empathy and imagination, and you grab nonfiction to build your knowledge and reasoning.
Every time you open a book, you're not just passing time, you're training your brain and building your identity. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. If every book is a chance to train your brain and shape who you are, what are you going to train for next?
Subscribe to the Timeless Tales podcast. Your stories, your time.